Truly, this is most fun part of my every single week. And today we are absolutely honored to be joined by a remarkable leader who's breaking barriers. And I can't wait for her to tell a bit of those stories, reshaping higher education in the food capital of the world, folks. Please welcome Dr. Rochelle Keck, the 14th and first female president at Grandview University in Iowa. Welcome to the show, Rochelle.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's start out with something kind of fun and interesting. So Iowa roots, right?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
John Deere, or do you drive a Dodge truck to work? I'm just curious. Huh?
Um, all the colors. I support all the colors.
You're a
Yeah.
multicultural tractor family. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
multifaceted, all the colors. Yes,
Uh-huh.
red and green and, Vermeer down in Pella, they have the black and gold. So
Yeah, they do.
we have all that. Yeah.
They do. So from your journey, first gen college
First
student,
gen.
right?
First gen. Yes.
Wartburg, go Knights.
Go Knights.
Come
The
on.
sword up above that you can kind of see
There
in
it
this
is.
case that is from Wartburg College. Yes.
Now leading at Grandview University. Go.
Vikings.
As a Minnesota guy, I just had to hear you say that. You know that. It was a
Hmm.
total setup. Total setup.
Yes. Skull.
Skull. You are living proof of how education absolutely it transforms lives. So am I. And
Mhm.
sometime I'll tell you my story. But what strikes me is how your path weaves in just this unique blend of law, philanthropy, and education. You're like this Renaissance woman, okay, who keeps finding new ways to serve and open up doors. So, how has this diverse background really shaped your vision for the campus that you're leading today?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm a little untraditional in that, or non traditional. I have not come up through the academic pathway as a faculty member or a dean or a provost, but I certainly have been in my seat for a fair number of hours as a student, not only in the undergraduate space, but also in law school, and then earning my PhD in education at the age of 50 while leading a residential university through a global pandemic.
Mm.
I actually defended my dissertation on April 29 of 2020 in my home office while we were all still in lockdown.
A memorable day, I'm quite sure.
Yes, yes. So back to your question, interestingly, I do think I bring some unique perspectives and tactics and strategies to the role as president. First and foremost, I always warn my team. I warned my team here at Grandview and also warned my team at Briarcliff. For the first 2 decades of my career, I spent my day measuring my day in 6-minute increments. As an attorney, time is money, and you keep track of your time in terms of blocks of time. And so for me, the pace is much faster than you typically see in higher education. And I think that has been a good thing for my presidency and also for my team to feel that sense of urgency, that sense of time is money, time is valuable. We cannot sit back and
Right.
say next semester
Right.
or next academic year or that's not in my contract or whatever the case may be. The times that we are living in from a higher education's perspective are unprecedented, and we cannot rest on our laurels, and we cannot continue to operate in the same way that we operated back when the academy was living its golden years.
Mm, So my curiosity, what jumps to mind is, so you're a leader that I would just profile as driving 100 miles an hour, right? Not
Uh-huh.
literally, folks. She's a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah.
But you see that sometimes in the transition of a president into a campus, and they see you as driving 100 miles an hour, and it's this debate of or maybe it's the mindset to say, hey, how do I get people to drive as fast as I do? Or maybe the question is, how do I get people to absolutely just stop putting their foot on the brake?
Absolutely.
Right? And
Absolutely,
how
change
do you go
lanes.
about that? Because people can't, I mean, people just are not wired to run as fast as you. That's just, let's put that on the table. Most people are not. You're that differentiated from the rest of us humans. So how is it then that you get, it's that resistance piece? How do you
Mhm.
build a culture that says it's safe to take your foot off the brake?
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of many things. First and foremost, communicate, 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 and then communicate some more, and don't forget to communicate some more.
That sounds so familiar, at least 7 times, right?
Yeah, yeah, at least 70 times 7. Um,
Exactly.
and back to your prior question about, what do I bring to the presidency? I do think that is, one of the absolute values of my legal background and my legal training is just that clear, concise, and compelling communication. If you are not clear, you could make or break your client's case in the courtroom. You could make or break your client's case in a contract or whatever the case may be. And so you absolutely have to be clear.
Mm,
You also have to be concise, and it's that's even more important nowadays in our fast-paced, shorter and shorter attention span society.
right.
Um, how can I grab their attention in a clear and concise way and still communicate all that I need to communicate? And then, of course, compelling. How do you grab someone's attention and keep it? And so with regard to your question about culture and how do you kind of bring people along to your pace, actually, I don't necessarily bring people along to my pace. I do when I can, and certainly have members of my team who are like, finally, someone who is operating at the speed that I'm operating at. So I think it's a combination of listening and listening some more. What is going well? What isn't going well? What can we stop doing so that we do have the ability and the bandwidth to move faster in the areas that we need to move?
Sure. My guess
Um,
is you've probably incorporated those structures into your system at
mhm,
all of the all of the universities that you've been, the leading CEO of. But there's also that daily rhythm of getting the hallway pulse,
mhm.
feedback loops on how things are really going from the ground floor. Because I know you're somebody who walks the campus on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I also meet with, various constituents throughout the campus, not just the leaders, not just the, department heads, etcetera, but, what do I need to know? What am I missing? Because if you don't lead the communication, sometimes the communication can lead you.
Exactly. That void is filled with lots of stuff that you have to manage then with your team, and it takes you off mark and burns a lot of
Mhm,
calories that most of us
mhm.
don't have anymore because the work is that difficult. Yeah. So a woman of, go ahead, one last on that piece, and then I want to shift gears.
And also obviously my background in philanthropy has been incredibly valuable here in the presidential role, not only to recognize and understand the importance of philanthropy to the presidential role, but then also just why do people give? How can we optimize giving to support the mission of the institution? You may or may not know this, but my dissertation topic for my PhD was actually studying college and university presidents as fundraisers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, I have a sense that more and more are needing to actually fill those channels and become very, very competent, right? In just where our systems of authority and government are going. It can't be so tightly coupled to DC.
No, no, it
No.
cannot.
No. So
Agree.
that's I think that's
Even
good
though it
good
is.
news. I'm looking for
You
leaders,
know, it's both,
right?
both and. Yeah,
Exactly, but I'm looking for leaders that have that mindset to say, "Hey, here's what is. Now what does this make possible for us?" And those that understand the importance of embracing your community and community value and sharing your story. And then
absolutely.
with a credible handout. That's what it has to be. It has to be a credible handout that says, "Do you believe in what we're doing here?" Because it's off the charts remarkable.
Right,
Mhm,
absolutely. Yeah,
mhm.
it's all about storytelling and relationships in the fundraising space, and, that's been since the beginning of time.
So this woman of vision, this woman of you can't, catch me if you can, right? Um, woman of incredible performance. And here I'm talking to you, and I get this sense of just authentic humility. Um, and I'm always sniffing that out. The hungry, humble, and the smart ones, right?
Mhm.
That's a Patrick Lencioni, I think. How
Mhm.
do you maintain your groundedness? You are leading complex systems, lifting heavy things. What are some of those daily habits that renew your mind, right, and just strengthen your insights?
Well, first and foremost, my humility started, at birth. I wa I was, born into a life of competition, so to speak. I'm number 6 of 9 children, and, so I have 5 older brothers and sisters who
Awesome.
always kept me honest and humble.
That's where that
Eh
scrappy comes from
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
fight you to the d
How dare you pour more Pepsi in your glass than you poured in mine?
Mhm, mhm.
Certainly my upbringing and I grew up in a very happy household. My grandpa was a Lutheran pastor, and so being able to lead a Lutheran institution like Grandview has absolutely been a dream of mine. And then, back to your question about what are some of my daily habits. Obviously, I'm a person of faith. And so just spending time in the word for me is important. But I do think my pathway, not coming through the traditional channels, being a relatively new transplant into the higher education space has absolutely made me humble. And here's what I mean by that. I mean, I'm surrounded by highly, highly intelligent and highly, highly educated people on a daily basis. I mean, we have PhDs around every corner in all the disciplines, right? And so, if you waltz into a room thinking that you're the smartest one in the room or that you know more than anyone else in the room, I mean, you're just automatically set up for failure. But to go back to a word that you used earlier, curiosity.
Yeah.
Um, what I don't know what I don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. And so how can we help each other know more? And then not only know more, but also then use that knowledge to perform better in support of the mission.
And let's be honest, I mean, what we knew,
Hmm.
it's not as valuable as it once was.
Oh my goodness,
'Cause the
no.
economy of scale of change and just the magnitude of the warp speed of, literally everything transforming, like becoming something altogether different, not just moving furniture around in our purview. Things are literally the earth is shaking beneath our feet
Mhm.
right now. So if we
Yeah.
walk into that room and, we have more wonder than wisdom, I think it's a good
Yes.
posture, isn't it?
Love that. Yes.
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 Yes, and that's
Um,
what brings your people together. Because nobody
eh,
likes the know-it-all. We all kind of back foot on those people, right? We
uh,
lean in when there's wonder.
absolutely. And I think one of the monumental shifts in higher education that has been happening is that, we went from this static, I learned everything I need to know about this discipline, and I'm now an expert in my field. And so I'm good. I can rest on this knowledge and achievement for the rest of my career. No longer the case. I
Yeah.
mean, everything is changing. And again, that can excite you or it can terrify you.
Mhm.
And it's absolutely a mindset. and we all get to choose that mindset. But I think it's been especially hard on faculty, and I recognize that you've invested all of these hours and blood, sweat, and tears
Yep.
into this discipline, and like you say, arguably no longer relevant, or not as relevant as, of course, the day you learned it. And so how can you change your mindset about it? And for me, the mindset is, listen, faculty, you are best in the world at learning. You have demonstrated that through your academic achievements. You are best in the world at learning. So no one is going to tackle this future better than you, better than you.
And then what? So you give them back their
Right,
authority, which is important.
right.
And then it's being able to empathize with that fear,
Mhm,
that very core
mhm.
fear that is scared of one or two things. And I had this conversation with another president just yesterday. One is just the fear of, I'm not quite sure how to do this, but I can't because I'm a faculty member. Right, and I have to show that I'm learned and my scholarly posture, and but there is that fear in all of us that says, "I'm not quite sure how to do this," right? So if we can come alongside of that and go, "You know what? I don't always know how to go about this either." It's that empathy that comes with the authority that I think just
Mm.
sears that leader as somebody that is both credible and has the character to just be real and honest. And yeah, that's that humility that I pointed out earlier, that I think that you just that it emulates from who you are as a person and from your character. I wish we had another half hour to be hanging out here together, but you've got some more, uh, you know, boulders to run up, those mountains to climb. And so, closing thoughts, closing wisdom.
Mhm,
Here's where
mhm.
you get to be wise. You've definitely given us all the wonder, but here's where you get to be wise. We've got leaders tuning in from all parts. They're working to transform their organizations as well. Maybe as a first generation coming into the role, um, and they're wanting to break some of the barriers that you've broken as first female president. Maybe a word of encouragement or a bit of wisdom or just something to re-engage hope in the lives of these leaders that are listening today?
I think, despite all of the noise, despite all of the potential change and the proposals for change that are coming at us from every single direction as higher education leaders, um, we all got into this work because we were called to this work, and we were called to this work to literally change the trajectory of people's lives through education and opening minds and removing barriers that previously existed. And for me, as a first generation college student, um, someone believed in my future
Mm.
way before I was even born. Someone created the institution where I first started. Someone provided that scholarship that gave me that full academic ride. Someone supported me in my law school journey and also in my PhD journey. And that's that's what matters. Those relationships and that love for our colleague human learners is what
Mm.
matters, and we
So
cannot give up that mission and vocation for which we get up every single day and come to work.
mm, so rich. You've given me some additional
Yeah.
hope today because I'm reading the newspaper headlines as
Mm.
well and just wondering how in the world.
Mm.
Wowzer, Dr. Keck. Thank you. Thanks for investing some time with us today. Thank you also just for your intentionality and that purpose driven leadership and showing us what it looks like today. Sometimes we forget what it ought to look like. Sometimes what it does look like is not quite what it should look like. So thanks for modeling that way for us.
Thank
And
you.
folks, keep your eyes on Grandview University. It's a university worth following, definitely. They're writing a new chapter. We didn't get a chance to really talk much about all that's on fire in a good way on campus there. But we'll maybe have to do a retake of this. This has been the show, reminding you that everyone deserves to live in a community served by really healthy humans like this individual here, leading highly reliable systems, because every community deserves that. Hey, before we wrap up, got to do what the kids do. If you found any value in this, right, hit that like button, leave a comment, share this episode. Please share it with as many people as possible. Until next time, this is Dr. Joe, on purpose to cancel all things average. Peace and press on.